Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will talk about the introduction. So, about the education is a critical component of every nation operations in it impacts the type of the work gained and the quantity of money made. Attempting to deny every person the chance to learn involve refusing not just the person the capabilities to attend as well as the government, the projected tax income and the economic progress. Then developing nations are moving from mainly agricultural reliance to services, conceptualization and expertise sectors which seem to be critical for long-term development and financial success. Furthermore, they are restricted by budgetary constraints caused by the increasing population and education. As a result, in order for developing countries to increase the per capita GDP, they must boost the productivity. Next, human capital and a trained labor force are necessary both to support the creation of new services and to produce positive feedback that stimulate more social, economic, and academic development. Therefore, a shortage of this asset can be a bar to economic progress. As a result, emerging nation education investment is the single greatest element influence growth in the economy. Lastly, in developing nations, the experience and competencies required to respond to modern technology to the given context are generally lacking, necessitating a process of learning. Learning happens as a result of the three factors, which is experiences gained from the production, intellectual capital acquired from the industrial nation, and purposeful development of the understanding.
Talking about highlight of the issues which is quality of education, human capital and technology and government expenditure. Quality of education is one of the most essential social institutions is education. It is confronted with tough challenges and is commonly recognized being among the most important strategies for advancement. In light of this, the inherent of educational institutions role model highlights the ramifications of academic achievement in developing and understanding the economy of a country's economic growth, particularly in developing countries. As for human capital and technology, a well-educated manpower has been necessary for innovative advancement and sharing of information. Last but not least, a government expenditure, which means some countries have effectively paired transparency with investment, education, and learning that resulting in a feedback loop in which transparency generates demand for education and learning, and education which also can improve a country's export sector's competitiveness. So these three are very important factors of education that can impact economic growth of a countries.
The impact of education also resulting on advancement of technologies, which allows developing countries to implement on birth control treatment of family planning concept to control the number of population for education admission. Studies from Center for Global Development 2022 states that family planning helps parents to invest more in schooling and to focus on recent job commitments, especially on kids' development. Compared to past years, women are forced to drop out schools due to childbearing period. But since birth control treatments are available anywhere, it helps women to plan for their next child. And during this period, women can upgrade their lifestyle, such as furthering their studies, which resulting on high number of admission to tertiary institutions among women. Last but not least, education expenditure. From this graph, you can see that Malaysia's managed to increase their government expenditure on education throughout the years. For example, they had spent on excellent students that exposed them to recent skills and knowledge in the industries. Studies from Hung et al. 2017 states that primary and secondary level provides into basic worker productivities, whereas tertiary levels contribute into technological innovations. The major changes that Malaysia's education system has implemented was they had created digital platforms such as Google Classrooms, Zoom, and WebEx to conduct classes and communication tools between students and teachers.
Hi, I'm Daniel Hong, and then I'm going to talk about Human Developing Index. And then I take some developing countries examples such as Malaysia, China, and Thailand. I take the years from 29 and then until 2019. Okay, so refer to this graph. Malaysia recorded the highest index in between 10 years with above 0.8 in 2019. The increment shows that Malaysia has succeeded to improve and made major changes on education systems such as creating more learning opportunities for 88,419 disabled students at public schools. And then for the human capital and technology, instead of assuring every student receive equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities, it promotes higher wage, which indicates on positive economic growth. And then in fact, we can agree that educated workers fans to get more paid since they had a better education and was trained better to develop the industries. Thank you.
Solution proposed. Quality of education. There are many ways to improve quality of education. Acknowledge and address overcrowding is one of it. Solve by drafting master plans to avoid overcrowded students. For an example, a new housing development can be forced by responsible people for this task to shift in school capacities. Other than that, make funding schools a priority. Funding can be implemented by creating a progressive tax code. Human capital and technology. A person's, especially educated people or people who call as educating, need to be improve their skills by attending training programs, which can be measured by years of schooling of a person, number of achievements, and level of education of the labor force. Technology development and changes are depends on the human involvement. This is because a better technology are produced by the human, such as machines, buildings, property, and other educational uses of equipment. Government expenditure. Educational expenditure by the government should include current or recurring expenditure and non-recurring expenditure. Current or recurring expenditure need to be focused on the management, administration, maintenance of schools, buildings, and equipments, salaries for teaching and non-teaching staff, library and laboratory, tools, and for spending other services for special occasion and other needed services for education. Non-recurring expenditure refers to the expenditure that focus on the fixed asset and additional assets like school sites, building playgrounds, and others.
Hello, my name is Tishalini Jonathan from 22C. My metric number is 191240422. So my part is conclusion. So education plays a vital part in the process of economic development since it is the most important factors in boosting an economic's long-term competitiveness. So high levels of education imply more skilled and productive workers. So education so encourages growth and development. So human capital or educational achievement in an economy has long been regarded as a significant factors in boosting and promoting output or economic growth according to economic theory. So countries and economies must compete as a result of globalization and international trade. So through a single country reliably specialized in single industry, economically successful country will have competitive and comparative advantages over other economics. So an educated workforce is also stated to be more productive and uneducated workforce, implying that educated workers return in larger than an uninformed one. So higher returns contribute to economic growth. The level of efficiency of educational inputs should be increased to improve educational quality. Thank you.